Welcome back. We're here to preview Sunday's Premier League game between Watford and Southampton. Barnes will start with Southampton. So impressive last year getting that 7th place finish, but they're still without a win this year.
It's been a concerning start for them, really. As you mentioned, they shocked everyone. People were tipping them for relegation last season, but they were amongst the top 4 for much of the campaign. Eventually finished 7th, but this season they're yet to really get going. We thought their opening day draw against Newcastle, not the worst result, not the best result ever. It wasn't disastrous, it wasn't particularly encouraging, but a 3-0 home defeat to Everton last time out, that really is concerning. They were very good at home last season. Only Chelsea conceded fewer goals in front of their own fans all season than Southampton, and in home and away only Chelsea conceded fewer goals than them. So defensively they will be very concerned, conceding 5 goals in the opening 2 games. Perhaps the loss of Nathaniel Klein's contributed towards that. Cedric's come in, he's done alright so far, but hasn't quite had the impact Klein had game after game. So they will be concerned. Against Everton, they started fairly well, but then they got hit on the counter-attack by Lukaku's first goal, got hit on the counter-attack again by Lukaku's second goal, and that was game gone really by that point. They never really got into the match in the second half. They were well beaten really by Everton in the end, despite the positive start. And they couldn't really have many complaints at losing by 3 goals either, which is perhaps the most concerning thing. Defensively, as I mentioned, they need to improve, but in attack as well. Long got the chance to come in after his equaliser. He did nothing really. Pele, he started relatively well the game. He had a couple of sights to go. He had one volley, which really tested Howard. It was straight at him, but it was a really well-struck shot. Apart from that, as the match wore on, as soon as Everton's first goal went in, they didn't really offer anything much more in attack. So all over the pitch, really, they need to improve.
Yeah, it has been a poor start for them, and you wonder if just their European involvement, they're so good last season, but you wonder if getting into Europe is going to have a big effect for them, because look what happened to Everton last season. They were brilliant in that. That's his first season under Martinez, and then they get into Europe and poor in the Premier League last year. And Southampton, even though they did look good in their sort of opening Europa League ties, you wonder if that just does have an effect, and especially with all the injuries they've got at the moment as well. Key players like Forster, very good goalkeeper, Bertrand at the back, and Classy in midfield. There's key players missing there, and you just wonder if the rigours of playing in European football, as well as just the test of playing the Premier League, it's such a hard league week in, week out. You just wonder if it's all becoming a bit too much, and you do worry for Southampton if they're going to be able to replicate last season's finish. When you look at how well, say, Swansea have started the season, Stoke have looked pretty good, and you think that one of those sides, Everton as well, obviously who they lost to last weekend, you think one of those sides might sort of go above them, and if any team's going to challenge the top 6, sort of Spurs and Liverpool in 5th and 6th, it doesn't look like it's going to be Southampton at the moment, because they just haven't looked great so far. Yeah,
overall last season, obviously it was a very good season, but they didn't end the campaign very well, and that's carried on into this one, which will be perhaps the biggest concern for Koeman. I think stretching back to last season, they've only won one of the last 8 Premier League games, and away from home, if they're going to match last season's performance or even better it, they need to improve away from home as well. It's now 8 without a win in the Premier League away from home. They've only picked up 2 points in the last 24 available on the travels, which, if you want to make that step up into Europe, needs to happen. At the moment, on the basis of that Everton performance, it looks like they might be one step behind the likes of Everton, Stoke and Swansea, which will be a role reversal from last season really, because they were setting the pace for those sorts of teams to try and catch up on. So they need to turn things around, and this is a decent chance to do it against Watford, I think.
It's a decent chance. I mean, Watford, they're still unbeaten. They've had their first 2 games. They went to Everton on the opening day. Really impressive performance there with the 2-2 draw. They could have easily won that game, because Everton, even though Everton were great against Southampton, they weren't good at all. In that Watford game, Watford will come away from that thing they should have won. And then last week they have their first home game against West Brom, who got thrashed by City in the opener, and Pulis went there, sort of tried to shore things up, but even then Watford created far more chances than West Brom. They had more shots. West Brom actually didn't have a single shot on target, and Watford, the likes of Deeney and Igalo, they did look bright. Igalo came in and started after coming off the bench and looking really good against Everton, but they couldn't quite find the goal, and they almost ended up losing the game. Berahino had that great late chance, and he missed that. If he'd stuck that away, it would have really felt like a really tough loss, because they probably deserved to win that if either side did. But a draw at home to West Brom isn't bad, but they were certainly they're still unbeaten, but sort of searching for that first win. You need to get that off your back quickly.
Yeah, there's been encouraging signs. You mentioned Deeney and Igalo there. I think they scored so many goals in the Championship last season, and they've shown signs of being able to make the step up to the Premier League. Igalo had a few decent chances against West Brom, obviously got the goal on the opening weekend. Deeney's yet to really get firing, but he's the sort of player who will get you goals in the Premier League. So I think attacking wise, they've got the ability to pick up some points. The start to the season hasn't been too easy. Everton and West Brom, not easy games. They both finished bottom half last season, but they're expected to do better this time around. Southampton this weekend is a tough game, and then Man City after that. If they can come out of this one still unbeaten, they'll be happy with that start to the season, because it's been a tough one. Man City obviously is another step up from that, and the form they're in, not many people will be expecting anything from that game for Watford, but if they can come away from this one even with a draw, I think that'll be a good start to the season for them.
Yeah, I think it's certainly quite a tough game to call. Watford looking for their first win, same with Southampton, who haven't looked great so far. So what's your score prediction?
Well, Southampton were decent on the road against Newcastle, nothing special. At home they really struggled last week. I think being back on the road may help them. The only question is about the Europa League involvement on Thursday night. Whether they can raise their game again against Watford remains to be seen. Watford, as you say, have been good, but I think I'm going to go for Southampton 1-0 victory.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick Watford to get another draw here. I think they've just got that longer rest, like you said. Southampton involved in Europa League in midweek, so I think Watford, they'll have more rest here, and I'm going to back them to get a 2-2 draw here. So 1 Southampton win and a draw. Thanks for joining us.